When you picture a desert, you probably imagine endless stretches of sand, rolling dunes that seem to go on forever, and the occasional cactus standing tall against the harsh sun. The air shimmers with heat, and life seems scarce, surviving only in the toughest forms. Maybe you spot a lizard darting across the cracked earth or a few hardy shrubs clinging to life. But one thing you almost certainly don't expect to find in this arid world is a beaver, or for that matter a lush green wetland teeming with life. But what if I told you that beavers, those remarkable river engineers known for their dams and lodges, once played a pivotal role in transforming a dying desert creek into a vibrant oasis? It sounds impossible, but it's true. This is the incredible, true story of a barren landscape teetering on the edge of collapse, and the unlikely heroes, beavers, who brought it back from the brink. Their arrival would set in motion a chain of events that no one could have predicted. Dropped into a world that seemed utterly inhospitable, a family of beavers faced a daunting challenge. They didn't know it, but they were about to take on a job that would change the fate of an entire ecosystem, to revive a desert and bring water, life, and hope back to the land. Against all odds, these determined beavers would transform a cracked, lifeless creek bed into a thriving green ribbon of water. Their dams slowed the flow, raised the water table, and created a haven for countless plants and animals that had all but disappeared. Get ready for the wild, unbelievable story of the desert beavers, a tale of resilience, ingenuity, and the surprising power of nature's most unlikely engineers. By the mid-1900s, overgrazing and land use changes had left many western streams eroded and dry. Human-made dams were expensive and temporary, failing to heal the land. Then someone had a radical idea: bring back the original engineers, beavers. Before the fur trade, beavers were everywhere, shaping landscapes with their dams and ponds. Their near extinction had left the land parched and unstable. The plan was simple: reintroduce beavers and let them do what they do best. It was a bold experiment. Could beavers really reverse decades of ecological damage? Getting beavers into remote, rugged creeks was no easy feat. In Idaho, conservationists came up with a wild solution: parachute beavers in wooden boxes from airplanes. After testing the system with a beaver named Geronimo, the operation began. 76 beavers floated down into the wilderness, landing in dry, barren landscapes. The boxes popped open, releasing slightly dazed but unharmed beavers into their new homes. These airborne pioneers faced a harsh world with little water and few resources. The entire experiment now depended on their instincts and resilience. All anyone could do was watch and hope. The beavers arrived to find a dry, fast-moving creek and scarce vegetation. But their instincts kicked in. They immediately began building dams with whatever they could find. Progress was slow, materials were limited, and their first dams were fragile. Without deep water, they were exposed to predators and the elements. Many doubted they could survive, let alone succeed, but the beavers were relentless, rebuilding after every setback. They adapted, using more mud and rocks, creating low, wide dams that slowed the water. Gradually, a small pool formed behind their first dam. It wasn't much, but it was a start, a sign that maybe, just maybe, this wild plan could work. The desert's transformation had begun. That first pool of water changed everything. In a place where the earth had been cracked and lifeless for years, the sudden appearance of water was nothing short of miraculous. It was as if hope itself had seeped up from the ground, promising a new beginning for the land and all its creatures. The beavers, nature's master engineers, got to work. They built more dams, each one carefully crafted from sticks, mud, and stones, creating a chain of ponds along the once dry creek. With every dam, the landscape began to transform, step by step. Water that once rushed away in a flash flood now lingered, pooling behind the dams and soaking deep into the thirsty ground. The water table, which had dropped dangerously low, began to rise again, breathing life back into the soil and making it possible for plants to grow where none had survived before. The creek, once dry for most of the year, and only a memory during the hottest months, began to flow longer and stronger. The gentle sound of running water returned, echoing through the valley and signaling a dramatic change in the ecosystem. From above, what was once a barren gully now appeared as a vibrant, green ribbon of life, winding its way through the desert. The transformation was visible even from the sky, a living artery pulsing through the landscape. Willows and cottonwoods, drawn by the renewed moisture, flourished along the banks. Their roots stabilized the soil, preventing erosion, while their leaves provided shade and shelter for countless animals. These trees offered food and building material, supporting a growing web of life. Each new dam made the system stronger and more resilient. The ponds captured more water, slowed its flow, and created habitats for fish, frogs, birds, and insects. The entire ecosystem began to thrive, interconnected and robust. The beavers weren't just building homes for themselves, they were restoring the land's natural hydrology, reviving ancient water cycles that had been broken for decades. Their work was a living example of how nature can heal itself when given the chance. With every stick and handful of mud, the beavers were mending a broken system. Their tireless efforts patched up the wounds of the land, creating a foundation for new life to flourish. The desert was coming back to life. Where there had once been only dust and silence, now there was water, greenery, and the sounds of a thriving ecosystem. The beavers' work had sparked a remarkable transformation, proving that even the driest places can be reborn. The return of water triggered a cascade of life. Birds flocked to the new wetlands, insects thrived, and fish like native trout rebounded in the cool, deep ponds. Predators, ospreys, otters, even bears, returned, drawn by the abundance of prey. Amphibians colonized the ponds, and deer and elk browsed the lush vegetation. The beaver ponds became vibrant hubs of biodiversity, supporting a complex web of life. The landscape was no longer a barren creek but a thriving ecosystem. All of this was sparked by the return of a single keystone species. The beavers had rebuilt an entire community. The parachuting beaver story is more than a quirky tale. It's a remarkable chapter in conservation history that continues to inspire us today. At its heart, it's a lesson in humility and ecological wisdom, reminding us that our best intentions sometimes pale in comparison to nature's own solutions. Nature's solutions often outshine our own. While we may devise complex plans, the natural world has evolved elegant, time-tested strategies for survival and renewal. Beavers, using only simple materials like sticks and mud, created dynamic, self-sustaining systems that transformed barren landscapes into thriving wetlands. Their return proved the power of keystone species, creatures whose presence shapes entire ecosystems, supporting countless other forms of life. Remove them and the system collapses. Rivers dry up, plants wither, and wildlife disappears, leaving behind a silent, empty landscape. Restore them, and life returns in abundance. Water flows again, plants flourish, and animals find new homes in the revitalized habitat. The experiment showed that the best conservation works with nature, not against it. By partnering with wildlife, we can achieve results that far exceed what we could accomplish alone. Today, beaver reintroduction is a celebrated tool for restoring watersheds and biodiversity, with projects underway across the globe to heal damaged landscapes. The legacy of those airborne pioneers lives on, inspiring new generations of conservationists to think creatively and trust in the power of nature. Their story reminds us to trust in nature's resilience, and to recognize that even the most unlikely solutions can have a profound impact. Sometimes, the simplest solutions are the most powerful. Nature's engineers show us that small actions can lead to big changes. All we have to do is step back, observe, and let the engineers do their work, allowing the land to heal itself in ways we might never have imagined. The desert oasis, built by beavers, is living proof that nature can heal, even the harshest environments, if we simply give it the space and time it needs. If we give it a chance, nature's resilience will surprise us, and the world can become vibrant and full of life once more.